Hey y'all, I'm Elliott Hall, and welcome to another Maker Brewing update. We are here at the Future Brewery, which is where I spend pretty much all of my time now. So let me show you what's been going on. There's been a few changes since the last time y'all saw it. And the big change is we have set up our brew house. Now it is not functional yet, but it is in its home. This is where it will live. And it is a 20-barrel brew house. We went with 20 barrels so that way we could actually put enough beer in the market for grocery stores, gas stations, bars, and restaurants, and everything like that. We want to be able to make sure we can get it out there. So we will be doing a lot of beers on this system, but we will definitely be putting some of our, I don't want to call them core beers, but our main offerings to the market that will go out to our distributor. So just a quick overview of the brew house and how it works. Tyler will definitely do a video and get much more in depth, but I'll just give you a quick run through. So what we have is we have a grain room, and the grain room will definitely show you a shot of that or something like that, but it's still kind of under construction. But what you do in the grain room is you have a mill, and you take these malts and cereal grains and you crack them open. And then once you crack them open, they are moved through this PVC pipe, which has a giant auger, which is like a big corkscrew, and it goes through the PVC pipe and then it drops it into our mash tun. And so the mash tun, once the grains are in there, we have this big old tank over here, which is our HLT. And that is just a big hot water tank. That's what it is. We use it for different things around the brewery, from cleaning to actually brewing beer. And that hot water then soaks these grains that have now been opened, and basically we're trying to extract the sugars and starches from those grains so that way we can move them into our kettle. And in our kettle, that's where we start making wort. It's also where we add our hops and other adjuncts as well to the, it's not beer yet, it's wort, W-O-R-T. And once we have finished making wort, we then transfer it into tanks. These are actually little baby 5-barrel tanks, and these will actually use the 5-barrel fermentation vessels, or FVs. We'll actually use them with our pilot system. So we're gonna have a lot of taps in our tap room, and we wanna have a bunch of different beer styles available. We wanna have a beer basically for anyone who walks in there. We wanna be able to have something that they like and can call their own. So that's what the pilot system is for. We might do a few like specialty things that we release into the market with this, very limited availability though, just because of obviously the size of it. So I'm kind of getting off track. The big brew house is what we're going to send a lot of stuff into the market with through a distributor, and the little brew house is what you will be able to get actually here in our tap room. So after we make wort, we transfer it into the big tanks, or the big tanks in our brewery. This is a 40-barrel tank right here on the left. This one right here, that's a 40-barrel tank. I mean, these things get 200, 300, 1,000 barrels for the biggest breweries. We transfer the wort into there, and there's a saying that brewers make wort and yeast makes beer, because once the wort's been transferred in there, then we pitch yeast, and yeast converts all those sugars we extracted into alcohol, making beer. Once we've made beer, then we keg it and can it, because we will have a canning line, and we will put it into our cooler, which is right here. And this is where we will put our finished goods, is what we call it, and that's what will go out to our distributor and also supply our tap room for y'all. So this is all the cool, shiny stainless. Wanted to show that because it's exciting. It was a lot of hard work putting it all together and setting it all up. So it's really neat to see it here and in its positions. We still got much more to do. But let me show you some of the ancillary equipment that actually powers all of these tanks. Right over here, you kind of have a cold and hot thing going. You need a chiller, and a chiller basically cools down glycol. And think of a thermos. A thermos, you know, it's got a double wall and everything like that. So you use glycol to come out of the chiller, and it's super cold, and it goes around our tanks, and it keeps the beers, depending on the style we're trying to make, at a certain temperature. So you need the glycol chiller to do that, to make beer. And then you also need a boiler, which is this black box right here. You need a boiler to actually power the brew the brew house and the HLT. So the tanks, the fermentation vessels and the bright tanks, they have a glycol jacket, and the tanks and the HLT, the brew house and the HLT have a steam jacket, which allows us to put hot steam around the tanks and produce, you know, heat for boiling wort and hot water for all around the brewery. So not the, you know, the coolest stuff, but beer wouldn't exist without them, so wanted to show them. And that is pretty much the main stuff that's happened. So we got some 40-barrel tanks, we got some 20-barrel tanks, and I'm sure there's shots of that going on somewhere around my shoulder or voiceover or whatever. Just wanted to show you all that equipment because without the glycol chiller and the boiler, we wouldn't be able to produce beer. So it's a very important, neat piece of equipment. We are definitely going to show you the tap room where we're starting on construction in the parking lot. So if you've driven by, it's going to change a lot. We're changing the facade, building our patio, everything like that. Stay tuned for all of that. Please like, follow, and subscribe. I'm Elliott Hall with Maker Brewing, and I really could use a beer because it is hot as hell in here, so I'm gonna get one. Cheers, y'all. Do you want me starting off on the brew house? I can come down like Mr. Rogers. Oh, hi. No, I'm not commanding a spaceship. This is actually our brew house. The brewery, this is pretty much where I'm living right now, our future brew. Damn, okay. And you can just like, buckets, buckets. All right. Woo! Maker Brewing.